It is August the 26th, ladies and gentlemen, and still Nolan Wells has not been released in terms of his blood work, nor has the first autopsy been released because it is sealed not to be released until there's a grand jury. But I'm trying to. What's so baffling to me, ladies and gentlemen, what's baffling to me is that this man, Nolan Wells, is a minority and nobody saw the minority on the island. How does that make sense? Nobody saw the ninja on the island? Stop the cap. So we're gonna go down to the interviews and really decipher and listen to what these boys are talking about. First, we're gonna start off with Mr. Tristan.
View, and I felt like you laid out a few things that I think the world needs to know and be clear about.
Okay.
And the first one is the relationship that you had with Nolan. Can you explain your relationship with Nolan?
Yeah, I will. So his mom got on TV, as everybody has seen, and said that she didn't know me. And man, that can't be farthest from the truth. Me and Nolan, I met Nolan in ninth grade in a second block class. It was math. Um, he was he was one of the first guys I made friends with. It was somebody I made a connection to. Like off rip, he was an athlete. I could tell he was an athlete when I walked into class.
It was somebody that you made a connection to, but yet when he called you, you was allegedly asleep. How does that even make sense? So you was asleep while he was calling. So the only thing that you should have said out of your mouth, Tristan, was you like, if I had the opportunity to go back in time, I would have loved to answer one of those two calls, but I can't do that, and unfortunately can't bring Nolan Wells back into this green planet. But instead, he wants to open his mouth and talk trash against Nolan Wells' mother, a grieving mother. Then later on in the interview, he wants to throw Nolan Wells underneath the bus, talking about he's not fully black. So I think Mr. Tristan needs to be investigated. Suspect number one, because if your best friend was to pass away, how you coming on an interview talking about Nolan Wells not fully black? What kind of nonsense is that? That's what's going on in your cranium and your God-given brain that he gave you on top of your shoulders that you want to come off and say out of your choppers that the man is not fully black. What was your point in saying that? Were you trying to stop him from getting donations from the black community? Was you trying to throw him underneath the bus because he is mixed? He's a mulatto, so he's getting attacked talking about he's not getting support from his community. So because he's not getting support, he wants to throw Nolan Wells underneath the bus. That is some crazy work. I believe Mr. Tristan, with that statement alone, that man needs to be investigated ASAP.
We sat really close to each other, and all he did, he turned around and asked me for a pencil when I first met him in ninth grade when I moved to Ocean Springs. Man, it was tough, and the relationship there has always been a best friend in my eyes. I never wanted to take away how close somebody else was with Nolan, but Nolan was my best friend. That was a guy.
So they want to say that Nolan Wells was his best friend. Just because they say it doesn't mean that's true because the word friend is used very lightly. That was your acquaintance, because if that was your friend, you would know that your friend is intoxicated, he's altered, but you gave him the benefit of the doubt, not knowing where. I mean, you're not supposed to be his caretaker, but ladies and gentlemen, have you been so altered to where I've never been, but we've seen many cases where individuals been so altered to where their friends that's around their circle look out for them. That's why you have a designated driver and you proceed to make the proper steps and making sure that your friend doesn't get pulled over DWI, even worse, being deceased. That is a friend. The friend is not obligated to be your caretaker, but the friend also is going to share some type of interest that you're going to make it home okay. If that's a Uber, if that's even taking them back to your place and they crashing at your sofa, even in the floor, if you don't want them to sleep on your sofa because they're going to vomit on themselves and they sleep on the floor, that is better than being pulled over DWI. That is better than being deceased, driving intoxicated behind the wheel. So these boys talking about they're the best friend of Nolan. Stop the cap. But that's your best friend once again, and your friend is intoxicated, especially he's a minority. And living in the day and age that we're living in, you need to know what's going on. But they want to go on a dude named Brandon Tatum podcast talking about Nolan Wells was my best friend. I remember in first grade, he gave me a pencil. What? Also, how is it a smart idea to go on a public podcast talking about an ongoing investigation? You are incriminating yourself. Everything you say will be used against you in a court of law, and they want to openly talk like the case is over. It's still ongoing. Is that a slap in the face? Are they pretty much saying that they're untouchable? That we're just talking just to clear the politics, to clear our name, but we know that y'all ain't gonna solve shit. Cause how you talking in front of the masses like that so openly? It should be told by the parents for sure, by the lawyers. The lawyers is supposed to represent the boys. How the boys is openly confessing to Brandon Tatum like it's a tape off of Usher confessions. This is not confessions. Oh, I remember in first grade, Nolan Wells gave me a pencil. He's my best friend. Stop the cap.
I knew I could call at any point in time. He called me at 11 o'clock on the 4th to see where I was parked at. Man, me and Nolan have countless nights of him giving me advice on my girlfriend, on my life in general. Nolan has been the only friend, and I love my friends and my best friends in this group of guys, but Nolan has been the only person that ever tell me, like, he's proud of what I've done. He's proud of how hard I worked. He's proud of me going overseas to go play ball. That was my guy. Like, that was my best friend.
Yeah, and so how does it make you feel when the media activists are coming out and alluding to the fact that you may have something to do with what happened to Nolan on that day?
Man, that hurts. It hurts is an understatement. I beat myself up every night I lay down. Beat myself up anytime it crosses my mind. Because in my head, if I wasn't drinking, if I didn't get into that altercation, maybe I would be able to do something. Maybe I would have known, saw something. Maybe I would have told Nolan, hey, man, you're not going with that girl. Just come back with us. We're going back a little bit later. We can go meet up with.
Was that altercation about Nolan? Because what Brandon Tatum should have asked Mr. Tristan was, yo, let's backtrack. What was the altercation about? But Mr. Brandon Tatum's not trying to incriminate these boys. He's coaching these boys. He's trying to clear the name for these boys. He's paid for these boys. He's pandering to these boys. So you went over there for clicks and views, or were you really trying to find answers? Because right there, your attendance should have rose, and you should have said, "Yo, Mr. Tristan, what was that fight about, anyways?" But I'm pretty sure prior to the interview occurring, he made a agreement with these boys saying that he's not going to throw them underneath the bus.
the guys later. Maybe it just plays out different. And in the fact that they're going to play that is I'm already trying to mourn my friend's death as is, and I'm blaming myself for it. To put that in my head is a next level of hurt that can't be truly explained. Because it's hard to put into words. Generally, it's backstabbing from a sense of a community that I thought I had with my skin color, and they stay so strong together, and I'm supposed to be one of them, but I come up and I speak, and now I'm the person to blame. Now I'm not dark enough for them. I'm not black enough for them, and now I'm the issue. It doesn't.
Do y'all hear this nonsense? This man talking about he's not accepted by the black community. So instead of giving his eulogy because he wasn't man enough to show up to the funeral because of death threats, this is his eulogy. And that's why I think they went on the interview with Brandon Tatum, because they wasn't man enough to show up to the funeral once again. So instead of speaking kind words about Nolan, saying, yo, if I had the opportunity to go back in time and speak to Nolan and tell the man to move around, then I would have done so. If I was to wake up, because the man said that he was with his uncle on his boat. I think they're just giving alibis to clear their name. But everything on this interview should be just positive about Nolan. Every single time he went into the room, he was nothing but positivity. He was always there for me. And it saddens my heart that I would never have the opportunity again to talk to Mr. Nolan Wells, because he didn't go to the funeral. So now this is your time to speak on your alleged best friend, but he wants to come out and say out of his choppers that the black community is not supporting me. So he's using this platform to take attention away from Nolan Wells to talk about himself. And that is why I believe Mr. Tristan needs to be investigated because how are you the victim, but you're alive? How does that make sense? We got to run that back.
The fact that they're gonna play that is I'm already trying to mourn my friend's death as is, and I'm blaming myself for it. To put that in my head is a next level of hurt that can't be truly explained. Because it's hard to put into words. Generally, it's backstabbing from a sense of a community that I thought I had with my skin color, and they stay so strong together, and I'm supposed to be one of them, but I come up and I speak, and now I'm the person to blame. Now I'm not dark enough for them. I'm not black enough for them, and now I'm the issue. It doesn't make sense. In my head, it doesn't make sense.
Was Nolan? I mean, obviously you were in a friend group, but the way the media makes it seem is that almost as if Nolan was the only black person in this whole friend group. Now they don't even mention you. They don't bring you up in this whole thing when it comes to what happened on at Horn Island. So what's your take on Nolan being presented as like the only black kid in a group of all these white boys?
That's crazy, man. I know we've spoken a little bit, but that friend group that I'm a part of to this day was the first friend group I was in when I moved to Ocean Springs as a new kid coming in. I never knew any of them, any of them. I known one, kind of, sort of, back from grade school because we went to the same private school together, but that was it. That was it. And him being the only black person, minority, any of that measure is insane. Our friend group is diverse from the max. Like, we have a mixed guy. I mean, we had Nolan in our friend group. There's an Asian a part of our friend group. There's a Latino that they're trying to perceive as white. He's truly authentic Mexican. His parents are from Mexico. They came over legally.
Ladies and gentlemen, oh man, we got our first comment of the day that caught my attention. And shout out to every single one of y'all in the building. So Patrick O'Donnell dash Z1R says, he was getting death threats and you are criticizing him for not showing up to the funeral. So Mr. Patrick, so because you're receiving death threats and you're innocent, you're not going to show up to your friend's funeral, quote unquote, your best friend, because I don't know about you, but my best friend, I'm not going to miss that because of death threats. But you want to show up to a podcast giving your eulogy talking about the black people are not accepting me because I'm mixed. What? That's nonsense. Your best friend, you don't show up to the funeral because you're scared of the next person. What you scared of if you're innocent? Scary ass. Let's go back to the content.
And they did everything right, and he's been here since. It blows my mind because our friend group is not a friend group that sees race. Our friend group sees what good you do for other people, what good you bring, and how the type of person you truly are, and where your morals lie. That's one thing in common. Me and my friends might not agree on everything, but our morals align. Our morals know. So for them to even make that narrative up really shows you have no idea what it's like down here on the coast. You have no idea how tight-knit Ocean Springs as a community is. You don't understand it.
Oh, we definitely understand how tight Mississippi is because y'all not releasing no information. The first autopsy is sealed not to be released until there's a grand jury. And I don't think, ladies and gentlemen, there's ever going to be a grand jury. Because if that information is released, that's going to expose the boys for doing that controlled substance. Also, how come the blood work is not released? Because Mr. Bart is trying to go to the NFL, trying to be a punter kicker. He can't have no controlled substance in his blood. If they find a controlled substance in Nolan Will's blood, that means the friends are also guilty by association. And that is why I believe everything is sealed, everything is hidden, and we wouldn't know anything if it wasn't funded by Mr. Colin Kaepernick funding the second autopsy. We're talking about the second autopsy, but we didn't get the first one. So who gave them permission to fill Who gave them permission to seal the first autopsy, but we talking about the second one? That's like talking about part two without saying part one. How does that make sense? That's some crazy work.
You don't see the thousands of kids in the high school football stands cheering their team on. Nobody cares what color you are. We're there to have fun and to just live. And that's how Nolan lived. That's how I live now.
Uh, Heavy on the gravy, please. That's a hilarious tag name. Watch out for the sodium, though. You say one thing that every person can't argue. He drowned. Well, we don't know that. We don't know if he drowned because they don't want to release the blood work, and they also didn't release the first autopsy. How does that make sense? Heavy on the gravy, please. But do you know what we discovered in the second autopsy funded by Colin Kaepernick, a former NFL player that was a civil rights activist, and they pretty much blackballed him from the NFL because he didn't want to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. This man, Colin Kaepernick, paid for the autopsy, which he had no reason to, but he did it from, his own free will. Whatever his agenda is, he did it. And through that funding, they found out the hyoid bone in Nolan Wells' throat was missing. Also, there was bruises in the back of his neck. Why is that? So we don't know what happened to Nolan because if Mr. Nolan was on the island, how is he going to be found 48 hours later? It doesn't take that long to find somebody if you're on the island. Leaving process of elimination, obviously Nolan Wells was on a boat at sea, thus he was washed away. And if he wasn't on a boat, he was dumped later on, thus found later. Because you can't be on the island that the boys are claiming that he was at. So you was at the island, Horns Island, but they took 48 hours to find you? Stop the cap. But that's what they saying though. Also, too many inconsistent stories because they talking about he was left with Miss Katie. Katie talking about he left. So which one is it? Also, they talking about Mr. Nolan Wells was found fully clothed, but pictures are showing him shirtless. Too many too many inconsistent stories. So we don't know what happened, and that's why we are blessed enough to listen to the interviews of these boys. But through the blessing, they are incriminating themselves, and I don't think it's a wise idea for them to talk so much. Whose idea was it to talk so openly about an ongoing investigation? That's some crazy work. Who you trying to prove? Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you're innocent, who cares about what the next person thinks? What you trying to prove to the next person? If you're innocent, you're good. What are you worried about? That's very alarming, and it's a huge red flag that they're talking about an ongoing investigation on a podcast.
It's I'm growing up and I have more big boy stuff, but in high school, all I cared about was going to hang out with my guys. And I mean, on a personal level that leads off of it, is like, it got me in trouble with my girlfriend just because I wanted to be with the guys. I never once thought, man, they look at me different. Man, I'm kind of an outcast to them. No. All their moms have always welcomed me with open arms. Anytime I needed anything, I knew I could call them and their parents, and they would do anything in the world for me. So with Crump pushing this narrative,
Yo, y'all hilarious, bro. So because the boys are cooperating with the police, you think they're innocent? Now, I'm not saying they're guilty, but someone in the chat said, Heavy on the Gravy said, all his friends answered all the cops' questions. So just because they answer the cops' questions, you think they're innocent? Just because it sounds good doesn't mean that it's a law and it's truth. We got to stop the cap.
it's wrong.
Yeah,
It's completely wrong, especially about our friend group.
yeah. I find it, especially after talking to you, meeting some of the guys, that it seems like there was an agenda. But can you walk us through just your perspective from that day? I don't know if did you go with them initially? Were you a part of the
So
group that went to Horn Island?
So I wasn't, no, clear that up. No, I was not on the boat with them. Yes, I was a part of the group that was supposed to go out. So the only reason why I did not go on the boat is I was offered, I got begged to go, but my uncle, we also took 12 people out on our boat, not including us two, so 14. And my uncle knows the passengers wouldn't have helped. Generally wouldn't have helped with anything. With that many people on a boat, you need a little bit of help. So my uncle was like, hey, can you just ride out with me and you can go do your thing throughout the day on the island? I don't care. I don't need you. I just need help to get out there and then pick everything up. Because I know all these people are going to be drunk and they're not going to want to do the extras that nobody sees about going out on the boat, right? And so I told Wyatt that, and oops, my bad. But I told him,
It's good.
I told him that, and I told him everything, which was go to plan. We were leaving a little bit earlier than them. I was gonna try to have a spot saved out, and Nolan calls me at 11 o'clock. I missed his phone call. Called me twice. I missed both of them. I saw Wyatt and Nolan on the boat. They pulled right in front of our boat, and they were screaming. I turned my head and I was like, "Yo, there's a spot over there," where they end up anchoring out.
So you missed his phone call, but that's your best friend. He called you twice. So that's the only thing that he should have said was, man, if I would have had the opportunity to answer at least one of his calls, maybe Nolan Wells would be alive today. But instead, he wants to throw Nolan Wells underneath the bus, talking about he's not fully black, he's half Asian. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what was the point of him saying that? That Nolan Wells is not fully black? Who gives two F's about he's 1/3 black, 1/4 black? When we bleed, we all shed the same color, red. But he wants to bring that up on an interview? That's a red flag.
I helped them set their stern anchor. From the time they showed up until now, going back to it, 20 minutes before they left, I was with them. That's who I was with. I spent all day with them, minus the morning time before they got out there. But from the time they got out there to the time they went back in, I was with them. Those are my friends, man. Those are my guys.
Yeah, I want to get a few more details.
I'm sorry about that.
I know that. Yeah, go ahead. I know that you were all over the news because there was a perceived fight. People, this is the thing that gets me, and I want to you clarify this. When I saw the video that they put out on the internet claiming that Nolan was saying, "Give me my effing phone back," the coach came out. Nolan's coach came out and said immediately he knew it wasn't Nolan's voice, and obviously it wasn't Nolan's voice because you were the one
Yeah,
that
that's
was.
me yelling. Yeah.
Someone says, what about Carmelo? Carmelo is definitely guilty in my take. You cannot have a pocket knife on school property, and that's what people are doing. So we have to go by case basis. Just because somebody shares the same skin color as you doesn't mean that you have to ride and die by them. You have to once again use your judgment, your spirit of discernment, and understand what's going on. But people want to say self-defense. How is it self-defense when Carmelo Anthony was on school property? You're not supposed to have no weapon on school property. Not only are you endangerment to yourself, but you're endangerment to others. And if I was to have a offspring in the future, I would be very disheartened to know, even if Carmelo didn't do that action, that he has a weapon on school property. And ladies and gentlemen, new text coming out that this man was threatening his girl, talking about if you don't take me back, this was going to happen, talking about he's going to lick the blood out the blade. So yeah, that man is guilty and he's blessed to get only 35 years. And I don't think he should get a retrial because they probably will give him double if not triple of all the evidence that's been released. So we're fair over here. We don't support somebody just because their skin color. We actually look at the context and use our spirit of discernment. So when you bring up Carmelo, not other platforms, they ride and die just because somebody shares the same skin color as them, but not all skin folk is kinfolk. Let's go back to Nolan Wells, though. Nolan Wells is completely different from Carmelo Anthony because he was found 48 hours later. But they're talking about he was on the island the whole time. How does that work?
In there yelling, you got into an altercation with somebody. What happened after that? Like, put me in your place where the fight is over, whatever happened. Nolan is somewhere, you're somewhere, you're hanging out. And when was the last time that you saw Nolan before you left Horn Island?
So after the fight, I didn't stay on Horror Island much longer. So the objective, I was really upset. So with you hearing me yelling, my uncle had told me to get on the boat and wouldn't let me back off the boat. obviously I was really mad and I wanted to fight, wanted to get up. What wasn't smart, man.
Yeah.
And so I was on the boat, I'm yelling, and shortly after that, I left the island. I left probably 30 to 45 minutes after I got into a fight. We started to pack up and left because I was so upset. As Javon mentions, that they were ready to get me back to land because I was really mad. I was genuinely really mad. But the last time I saw Nolan, I was walking to the boat. This was before the fight. It's me and my old lady. We had just got out of a group of people. Nolan was walking towards Wyatt's boat. I was walking in the opposite direction towards my boat. And I dabbed Nolan up. I made a slick comment about something, actually about the girl that he was with. I made a slick comment to him, us joking around, and I kept going. And not even 10 minutes after that is when I got into a fight. I do.
Now, what I got from that is the last time he saw Nolan is that he was walking towards Wyatt's boat. That is what Mr. Tristan just confessed. And that is why I believe Mr. Warren and the other boys are super stressed out. Because why are you going to episode 2, episode 3, multiple interviews trying to clear a name if you're innocent? Then the fight was over a female. So another narrative, another alleged altercation occurred over the female was the ex of Mr. Bart. So he comes home, you know what I'm saying, trying to party in the 4th of July, and Mr. Nolan is entertaining Mr. Bart's ex, and that's what the fight was about, allegedly. But we don't know. Because leave it up to Mississippi, everything is sealed, everything is hidden. We don't know the truth. And what's very troubling is that they're trying to call the mother of Nolan Wells a grifter, and all she's trying to do is find answers. She is getting harassed at her place of work. They're trying to make her homeless. Imagine losing your offspring, regardless of how you feel about the woman, ladies and gentlemen. You lose your offspring, and now they're trying to make you homeless. Then she raises a GoFundMe, and now they're calling her a grifter. She gets the proper attorneys to bring attention to this case, regardless of how you feel about Ben Crump, Al Sharpton. We understand their agenda, but their name carries weight. Because if it wasn't for those boys representing Mr. Nolan Wells, leave it up to Mississippi, they would have swept the case underneath the rug. And it just goes to, ladies and gentlemen, this goes to show how many other cases that families, victims that didn't have the opportunity to have a GoFundMe, to have resources to raise and bring the proper attention to the case, and that got swept underneath the rug. Because 2-3 weeks later, Miss Tasia Fortune was caught hanging from the back of a vacant home in the same month of July, in the same state. But then people want to talk about, oh man, there is no such thing as racism. Well, can you explain that Miss Tasia Fortune is caught hanging from a tree like a Christmas ornament? This is not Christmas in July. So they pretty much saying through that statement that we gonna do what we want and y'all can't find shit and y'all won't do shit about it. That's what I got from that, Tasha Fortune. So keep your head on a swivel, not to live in fear, but we are living in unprecedented times now more than ever. Now, are we living in segregation? Is it 1924? No, absolutely not. It is way, way better than how it used to be. Man, all praises to the Most High that we don't have to live in those troubling times as our ancestors did. My goodness. Imagine waking up every single day to chains on your feet, chains on your arms, separated from your family, having to work from sunrise to sunset, getting no reward. And people want to complain now as if they're in slavery. You know, you can do whatever you want to do as long as you put your mind to it. What about the slaves back then? They didn't even have a choice.
Last thing I told Nolan was, all right, buddy, I love you. See you later. And I'm glad I said it. I had been under the influence a little bit, and that's probably why I did say it at the time, just, you know, getting all lovey-dovey. But I'm at peace I said it. I'm glad I said it. That was my last encounter with Nolan. Just telling him I love him.
Did you have any, so you leave the island, did you have any encounters?
Do y'all believe that? So he's saying the last words he told Nolan was that he loved him. Do y'all believe it? Do y'all believe the last words he told Nolan prior to him passing away was that he loved him?
Or association with these phones, with the keys? Did you have any connection to any of that?
I did not. So what I know I got my first phone call from Warren at about 9:20. I didn't answer it. I was asleep. I'd been on the boat all day. I didn't feel like going to party anymore. I went to bed. So I got my first phone call about 9:20, and I didn't wake up again until a little after 11 o'clock. And that was to my brother coming in the room being like, hey, Warren's trying to get a hold of you. You need to answer the phone. They're looking for Nolan. And I'm half awake, and I pick up the phone. And by this time, nobody had came to the house to grab anything. And Warren gets on the phone, and he's just like, hey, man, he was like, hey, have you talked to Nolan? Anything else? I was like, no, I haven't talked to him, man. He was with that girl last time I knew. And he was like, okay. He was like, man, we can't get a hold of him. We don't know where he's at. And I was like, man, it's Nolan. He's probably just out somewhere with that girl. Like, get a hold of the girl, you'll probably find Nolan. It's no big deal. And he was like, all right. He was like, but we're starting to freak out. We're getting on the phone with Coast Guard. I was like, okay. And at that time, he had already talked to his mom, Nolan's mom. And he was getting on the phone with the Coast Guard. And I'd called, I need to be specific about this. I did not call Warren's phone.
So Warren was the first person to contact Miss Nolan Wells.
I called another one of our buddies' phone, and it was on speakerphone. They were all together. I was talking on my other buddy's phone, talking to Warren. He was dialing Coast Guard because he hung up the phone and was like, hey, this is them, bye, and hung up the phone. And that was the last time I talked to him until the next morning when we all decided, when I woke up about 7 o'clock that morning, we had all decided that we were going to go out on the boat and go look for Nolan. Wyatt had already had his boat still in the water. We took that boat out. It was
What day are we talking?
That's Sunday morning.
Sunday morning on the 6th? The 5th?
So it was Saturday the 4th was the 4th of July. Mm-hmm. The 5th was Sunday. We were on the water from 9:45 to 11:50, 12 o'clock era, about lunchtime. Mm-hmm. While we were on the water, we talked to a rescue guy, and he told us to get off the water and said that they kind of had the island and the water under control. That's the professionals, man.
Yeah.
They told us to get on social media and find out any information we can.
Right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of these rights I have explained to you?
What I'm trying to understand is why are these boys talking so much on a YouTube podcast? If they're innocent, there is no reason to explain yourself.
And by that time, we had already talked to a good amount of people out there, so it just made sense. So we went back in and we concluded our search and started to search off socials and started sharing everything we could and try to get a hold of anybody that could have talked to Nolan, that Nolan possibly would have reached out to. And that led into the night. It led all night long. I didn't sleep at all Sunday. Monday, I was up at 5 a.m. I was putting fuel in our boat at 6. I got told that we were taking out another boat to Chandelier at 7. So I put my boat back on the lift, and I went to McDonald's, and then I got the news after I left McDonald's that his body was found. So it was already a plan that we were going and searching and trying to do everything we possibly can. And that's all I wanted to do. Is I wasn't there to help him out in his last minutes, but now I feel like as a friend and
Stop the cap. Ladies and gentlemen, if my best friend just recently passed away, I'm going to be so choked up I could barely even get words out. I'm going to be like, man, if only I had the opportunity to answer one of those calls, one of those 2 calls, maybe he would still be here today. But he's awfully talking a lot for a guy that's allegedly his best friend.
As one of my guys, man, I do everything in my power to help now. And that's why I have reached out to the family. I have donated to the family, and I have giving them just your normal death gifts, I would say.
Who says that bullshit? He said he reached out to the family. He supported the family. He gave the family death gifts. Death gifts? If that's a way of showing remorse by going on a podcast talking about death gifts, so he's trying to be nice here. Then in the next 7 to 8 minutes, he wants to come out and say Nolan Wells is not a black man. He's half Asian. So I think that was his agenda, not to give his eulogy because he didn't show up to the funeral, but to throw Nolan Wells black card, talking about, oh, did you know that Nolan Wells, he's half Asian? He's not even fully black. Why did you say that, Tristan?
Say as you pay your respects. And
Do you think Benjamin Crump being involved in this case made it better or worse?
100,000 times percent worse. Because why on the two
Also was very alarming is the boys didn't say nothing. There was ice cold quiet, but as soon as Ben Crump and all Sharpton and them boys, they read the autopsy results, which I think Mr. Ben Crump should not have read the results. It should have been the medical examiner who did the autopsy read those results. Ben Crump is a civil rights lawyer. So he's reading medical terms. That's not his forte. But I digress. Um After that was released, then the boys started to go on Mr. Brandon Tatum's podcast, giving their eulogies, giving their confessions like they're on a Usher mixtape. But before the autopsy results, the second one was released, they didn't say a word. So once the autopsy results are released, read by Mr. Ben Crumpt, now they want to go on Mr. Brandon Tatum podcast? Why? Why are you so pressed to clear your name? The only time you should speak is in a court of law, and even then, your lawyer is supposed to represent you. But they're just going off at the choppers on a YouTube podcast. When have we seen an ongoing investigation, ladies and gentlemen, and the potential suspects are talking so freely on a podcast? That is incriminating yourself in all type of levels. And the parents are allowing this. There's so many red flags.
Tuesday after our civil, where has your civil rights been broken? Where has it been shown? You brought Benjamin Crump to stir up a community that's already tight knit.
So the second autopsy showed by ZAZZUA showed bruises in the back of the head, and also the hyoid bone was missing from Mr. Nolan's neck. I heard that from another podcast, and I thought they was trolling. But sure enough, yeah, man, the hyoid bone was missing from Nolan Wells' neck, and that's what really brought my attention to this case. Because prior to I found out that his hyoid bone was missing. I was like, a lot of content creators was making this about a white versus black thing. That's not what we're gonna do on this channel because we have to stay together now more than ever. And they're trying to cause division. We have to see the play. Let's talk about the facts. And the facts are Mr. Nolan Wells unfortunately didn't come back home, but everybody else did. The facts are that the hyoid bone is missing from his throat. The facts are is that they saw him shirtless, but they said that he was fully clothed. The facts are the boy said that he was on a boat, and then the girl said that he was vice versa. There's too many inconsistent stories. That's the facts. But they want to talk about stay away from the white man, can't trust white people. Those same people are driving on a freeway. Those same people are clocking in at 9 to 5. If you really fear the white man, then why do you go to a 9 to 5? That's crazy work. Don't listen to those content creators. As a matter of fact, don't follow those people. These stories, unfortunately, unravel and expose the hidden racism within their hearts. Talk about the facts at hand. And the facts is that a human life is not here, not breathing. Not the fact that he's black, as if he was white wouldn't make any difference.
Yeah, we might not be best friends with everybody, but I promise, if you're talking about Ocean Springs as a whole, Ocean Springs is going to have Ocean Springs back, 110%. We back each other. Everybody I've seen, we back each other. And for them to push this narrative and really push it just shows me is like you have no idea who you're dealing with or who you're messing with. And I think he's taking
Oh yeah, we definitely know. Mississippi, all my minorities, I highly recommend that you live elsewhere. Do not go to Mississippi. Right now it's hot. It's hot like pancakes right now in Mississippi if you're a minority. The same month Miss Tasia Fortune was caught hanging in the back of a vacant house. You gotta be kidding me. Rest in peace to Tasia Fortune. The few weeks later after Nolan Wells. And they want to talk about there isn't racism in America, but you got minorities hanging from trees still. How many minorities have been caught hanging from a tree in the past couple of years? That's still going on. Why is ninjas still hanging from trees? Oh my goodness! If I was to see that, I would turn to Ray Charles. Hanging from a tree, and there is a modern day racism. Stop the cap.
the grieving parents and manipulating and turning this and making it sound all bad because it's nothing's like that at all. No,
Have you gotten death
Luke 17 says, "Trust no man or woman, only the Creator." Absolutely, you cannot put trust in no man because man will always fail you. It says in the word that the heart is deceitful, so you can't even trust yourself. So to put trust in the next person, and that's what Nolan Wells unfortunately did. He put trust too much in his friends, and unfortunately, he wasn't in a state to where he could make the decision making to survive. Because if he was coherent, I'm pretty sure he would still be breathing today. But once again, he put his trust into his friends, and his friends took advantage. We don't know what happened, but one thing we do know is that he put too much trust into his friends. Crazy work.
threats?
I have.
Or, because I know that the other young men that I spoke to about this, especially the white young men, they're getting
Shout out to ZZZAU for the jewels.
all kind of death threats. They're being accused of killing Nolan. Did you get the same backlash and threats that some of
So
those guys have gotten?
yes, I've gotten the death threats per se, but I've also gotten the threats along the lines of where it's like I've been cast out of the black community.
So this man is on a podcast talking about he's been cast out the black community. Boo hoo, cry me a river. So you're alive, but you're the victim. So the black community doesn't accept you now. So why are you worried about what the black community even like? So he's worried about the critics. So he's going on Instagram posts, looking on social media, and listening to critics. Instead of mourning for your friend and going to therapy, even taking a nap, you reading comments, letting other people's words affect you. Like, bro, this is a joke. And that is why I believe Mr. Tristan needs to be investigated. Because what are you talking about? The black community doesn't accept you. So a few black people don't like you. So you speaking for the whole black community? Where are Mr. Tristan's parents? They allow their son to speak like this on a podcast? Stop the cap.
I've been called white. I've been called a wetback. Um, all these things. I've been sent photos of me and my grandmother, and they've been told that she's the devil. She's just looking for the time to kill you. You need to be careful and blah blah blah. And it's like, man, if y'all want to know the story, the only people that showed up for me in my whole life has been my white side of my family. So for y'all to sit there and
So now he's bringing race into this situation. Look what this man is saying. Instead of talking about Nolan Wells saying, man, once again, I wish I had the opportunity to answer one of those two calls, but I was asleep because I was, quote unquote, too tired because I was too tired from partying. So I went to bed early. Who goes to bed early? I mean, it's possible, but come on now. But all we can hear is what he's talking about. So he went to sleep early. Nolan Wells called him. He didn't answer the phone. Nolan Wells called him again. He didn't answer the phone. He finds out that he is no longer breathing. So the only thing he should say is like, if I can go back in time, I would answer one of those two calls. But he wants to talk about race. That's a red flag.
drag their name and to drag me down. And I'm supposed to be one of y'all. And you're supposed to have my back. And we're supposed to be in this together. And it's really eye-opening.
Did it shock you that it turned this way? Meaning that, you know, you see everything happen. Nolan was your friend. From all the young men I talked to, it seemed like Nolan was the life of the party. Everybody loved Nolan. He gets along with everybody. Everybody's cool. And everybody feels like Nolan made them feel like everybody's his best friend, right? I mean,
Well,
everybody felt connected to Nolan. Were you shocked that it turned like this? I mean, where this community was tight knit, Nolan's friend group was tight. He ends up losing his life in an unfortunate situation, which nobody knows exactly what happened. Did it shock you that it turned into some racial thing?
yes, racial, I do agree. Now, it going famous or going viral, that part didn't shock me. Thinking about it and being honest, like, that's not a surprise because everybody did love Nolan. Especially around here, everybody loved Nolan. So for people to repost that, they know Nolan. I mean, they know he did not have one hateful thing in his heart. And racism, no. That was a shock. That was a complete shock from his mom and from his stepdad. Like, that's a shock. That's an utter shock because it's like, first off, I don't know how to word this. Nolan wasn't fully black. Nolan's mixed. Nolan has a little bit of Asian in him. You don't hear that though.
So what does him not being fully black, half black, mixed with who gives two F's? Because when we bleed, we all shed the same color red. At the end of the day, we're human, we're breathing, we're sharing a human experience. But he wants to talk about Nolan Wells not fully black. Then he has a nerve and no shame to bring it up again, talking about, but y'all don't hear that though. Nolan Wells, he's not even fully black. Bro, somebody needs to investigate this dude, bro. He is out of control. The disrespect. He can't defend himself. And you want to throw him underneath the bus for what? Like, what did you saw by saying that statement? Were you trying to stop the donations from the black community? Crazy
That was
work.
a shock. That was a complete shock from his mom and from his stepdad. Like, that's a shock. That's an utter shock because it's like, first off, I don't know how to word this. Nolan wasn't fully black. Nolan's mixed. Nolan has a little bit of Asian in him.
That is the most blasphemous shit ever, ladies and gentlemen. How you talking about Nolan Wells is not fully black? He's half Asian. What you talking about, Tristan? That's on your mind? You should be choked up, trying to console yourself, trying to keep yourself together from not crashing out in front of the camera because you was around Nolan. So potentially you could have saved his life. Unfortunately, that's not the case. And now for the rest of your life, you have to think, what if? What if I was to answer one of those calls that Mr. Nolan called me twice and I didn't answer not one of those calls? Now he has to live with that burden. And he should repeat that over and over again to where they have to cut the cameras, stop the interview from transpiring, and he has to potentially show up to a second interview or say, yo, I thought I could do this interview, but I can't, bro. Nolan was my best friend. This is not for clicks and views. This was actually my real life best friend, bro. And the last words that I told the man was, I love him. That's what he said. If this was your best friend, you're the first guy that gave you a pencil in first grade, that should cook you. But you want to talk about Nolan Wells wasn't fully black? He's half Asian.
His mom and from his stepdad. Like, that's a shock. That's an utter shock because it's like, first off, I don't know how to word this. Nolan wasn't fully black. Nolan's mixed. Nolan has a little bit of Asian in him. You don't hear that though.
Stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles.
What'd you
Hello?
say? Hey,
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
it's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
All right, well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either Jerry Atkerson. I think it's Jerry Atkerson. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership like guaranteed. I don't
All
have the
right,
tag
unless
on
you
here.
have a
It got ripped
membership
off.
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at? All right, and is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's
How
on
many?
board.
All right, do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
So let's add context to this situation. This man is sinking. There's 30 feet of water in his boat. He's calling in highly distressed. The dispatcher says, "Yo, do you want help from the coast? Do you want help from the Coast Guard?" His response is no. Now, why would you deny help if you're sinking?
All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Do you have your current GPS coordinates?
Let me go look.
If not, I can send you a text message.
North. All right, are you ready?
Yes, sir. I'm available.
North 30 degrees. But 4672.
All right. 4672. All right. And you were breaking up a little bit. Can you just repeat it one more time to make sure I have it correct?
Sorry, look.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What?
So you're breaking up. If you need assistance, do you have a VHF radio?
Yeah, we do not have the VHF radio.
All right. Well, let's try to get you going because you.
So Warren calls for help. She's trying to get this man on the phone. He's talking about, yeah, what? So obviously he's distracted. So initially he was fully coherent with the engagement, with the conversation. Then he hears somebody initially in the conversation talking about shut the F up. Then his energy completely shifted. Because I'm trying to understand, why would you call for help and then when she tells you, do you want help, he declines the help. So if you're sinking, you're declining help. What happened?
Don't have good cell phone reception. Can you verify your coordinates one more time?
Okay, my coordinates are 30 degrees by 14.684 north, and then west by 88 degrees by 46.79.
Right. It looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you
Yes,
on
we are
Horn
at Horn
Island?
Island. Yes.
All right. Is the
And then again, like, our relationship really started around, would you say, like, freshman year of high school? Like,
Well, I was like a little closer with him before y'all because, like, obviously, like I told Brandon last time, like 8th grade COVID year
Yeah.
is when Nolan and I like really started hanging out, and then we all started hanging out going into high school. But man, that dude's funny. Life of the party. Like,
Life of
had
the
so
party.
much fun.
No
Like we
doubt.
had so much fun together. Like even going up to like Starkville where Morgan goes to school, and like just every
Freshman
Oxford,
Destin.
It was friends.
stuff.
Yeah, dude, it's fun.
It's awesome.
Great.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nolan Wells really trusted these boys. And we're not saying that these boys are guilty, but what I'm saying, my personal take is that I think they know something. Because if you know so much of Nolan, if Nolan is your best friend and he's this, that, and the third, how come you let them hang in if he was in an altered state? Because obviously he wasn't in his right mind. So I can speak for myself. If my best friend is altered, I'm gonna know somewhat of his whereabouts. I'm not just gonna completely move around. Now I've been in a situation to where that has occurred. And by the most high, I made it out alive. Unfortunately, Nolan Wells didn't. So we got to take heed to this message to not put trust in no man. Because it says in the word, the heart is deceitful. It also says, do not let your left hand know what your right is doing. So if the word says to not even trust yourself, we can't put trust in the next person. Unfortunately, Nolan Wells did.
And so people, well, there was a conversation that we had, Warren, last time about you not going or ever being at his house, and people took that as if you weren't his friend. Can you guys describe what engagement did you have with Nolan at his house, with his parents, him with your parents? Like, how did all that circulate?
Right, well, like Jack said, like he used to pick up Nolan every day. I used to pick up Nolan every day.
Wow, so they was really close up every single day. So they was more than friends. They was brothers. They was family. He was eating at their dinner table. So Mr. Nolan Wells was closer to these boys more than we think. And the mother, she didn't not once say, you know what? We need to have that conversation. And how come that conversation is not being held in households? Ladies and gentlemen, my personal place of occupation, I was invited on a cruise and I was going to be the only minority. And I was like, this was before the Nolan Wells situation. And I was like, nah, my spirit of discernment told me to decline. Now, was it cringe to decline to be the only coworker to not go? Yes, but come on now.
Why I used to pick him up? Like literally would pick. We didn't make Nolan drive anywhere.
That's how much we
anywhere.
loved him, bro.
Like,
We just
that's
always
how-
wanted to be
Like
there.
that's how much. Like everybody knows this too. Like Nolan didn't drive. Like especially at least in our friend group, because Nolan, we always pick Nolan up,
Yeah.
regardless of where it was. Like literally on July 3rd, Nolan rode with me and like rode with me to Wyatt's because we had to get parts for a boat. But anyway, just for it's crazy that like I think.
Also, what I study with human nature is that the more you spend time with somebody, the more they're going to show them their true colors. So being around these boys, Nolan is athletic, he's getting older. Maybe the boys was envious and maybe, an altercation occurred. Who knows what happened? Because leave it up to Mississippi, they sealed everything. We don't have no blood work. We won't know anything unless there's a grand jury, and I don't think there will be a grand jury in order to protect the kids. All we can do is speculate and assume and listen to these interviews. But one thing I do know for sure is that I'm not going to put trust in the next person, especially if I'm the minority and I'm the only ninja in that group. What I look like? Like, how many stories have we seen in the past and we still making the same mistakes time and time out again, trusting the next person?
think it's kind of sad that like people. I have some friends of mine that I'm very, very close with, and I just don't know their parents. We're grown men. You don't have to know someone's parents to be close with them. And for if someone's like, for them to come out and be like, oh, well, y'all aren't friends with somebody. Well, how are you going to tell me like my relationship with somebody else? It's crazy. Like they've said this all about us. Like, oh, we're fake friends. Well, that's really horrible to say, because if you go look on every social media post on Nolan's.
Pete says none of them cried or even looked sad in those interviews. Right. Like I would be choked up. My best friend that I just was talking to, laughing with, drinking with. I grew up with this boy. No tears, no nothing, just pure stern. Nolan was, he was a great guy, I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, people take mourning different, of course. I can't tell the next person how to mourn. But come on now.
Instagram or Facebook or anything else, the only people in it are us and his football guys. Like that's just so real. Every time Nolan's in Starkville, he's with us. Every time Nolan's anywhere, not even just Starkville, but anywhere.
Oh yeah, we went on countless vacations
From
and
prom, homecoming, everything. Nolan's with us because we were his friends. It's not that hard to understand. I mean, I should.
Oh my goodness. Alien 23 says he looks like a KKK member. Stop it, man. Hold on. Hold on, my guy. You can speak your mind, but let's keep the racism to a minimum.
I don't have to prove this to anybody, but that's the truth. I don't have to prove my friendship. And these guys feel the same way. We don't have to prove our friendship with Nolan, but I know
I
what's
agree.
right.
Yeah. So was Nolan around your family then?
Oh,
Yeah.
Nolan was always around her.
Definitely, Mr. Warren has lost weight. That is a noticeable difference. That's something that we cannot deny. The picture to the left and the picture to the right is only 5 weeks apart. Man, if I could lose weight that fast, man.
Houses. I mean, I can even say this. Nolan and Wyatt's dad had a secret friendship that we weren't even in.
Yeah, they were like best friends.
We would go over to Wyatt's house, and Nolan, we would all be in the backyard, whatever, doing something, and Nolan would be inside on the couch with Wyatt's dad, and they would just be cutting it up all night.
Yeah,
all
watching
night.
movies together. Like
Scarface
tight.
is their favorite movie.
Yeah.
They'd watch Scarface.
All the time.
But it
the
really
time.
shows you like the effect like all this has had on everybody, not including just our friend group, but like our friends' parents and my parents. Like our friends were really and families were really close with Nolan. And I mean, this has been a horrible tragedy, not just for us, but for our families and friends too. My mom knew Nolan because she used to drive us from Waffle House to school once a week. My stepdad knew Nolan because he used to drive us. My dad, everybody, like.
And he would always come to the house too all the time.
And
yeah.
not just that, but like I'm talking about like from a young age, like from 8th grade. But Nolan would always be at our houses, stay at our houses, and for his parents to come out and say, "Oh, well, we don't know these boys." Well, then does that mean you don't know where your kid's staying at night? Because he was staying at our houses. So.
Alien 23 says there were hundreds of whites there. They perform an annual ceremony and sacrifice Nolan. You know what? I believe so. I saw this video that I want to share actually since you brought that up. Let me see if I can bring that up real fast while I play this interview. I think that's what transpired because the case has too many inconsistencies, ladies and gentlemen. How are you going to seal the first autopsy? Who gave them permission, the state of Mississippi, to seal something when you're trying to find answers? So how many other cases just got swept underneath the rug because shit got sealed?
Sorry to interrupt. I know you're enjoying this incredible interview. Make sure you hit the get to some pointed questions about the phone situation. Because I think last time, Warren, when you and I talked or spoke, you weren't at the house when the phone was recovered. So I want to figure this out. Explain to me, because a lot of people are still online saying that they find it to be incredibly suspicious that Nolan left his phone. Can you explain, did Nolan ask you for his phone back when you guys were leaving? Was it not a part of the conversation? Was Nolan the only person that left his phone on the boat? Can you guys walk me through that idea?
So I can go ahead first and say, nobody has their phone in the water. Even when you jump in a pool, do you have your phone? Like, no, you don't. You're not going to bring your electronic in the water. So what everybody does is they stick their phones on the dash of the boat and they forget about it because you don't have good service. You can't even send a picture through from Horn Island to like somebody else. And so they put it on the phone. And even as teenagers, we don't really get on them. We go out there and we conversate and we see a bunch of people that we usually don't see on a day-to-day basis that we graduated high school with, guys that graduated before us. You know, it's a big meeting, like seeing all your friends that you haven't seen in a while. And so whenever we were coming back in, he didn't even think about grabbing his phone. He never asked about his phone, along with 5 other people that also left their phones on the boat, and we had to wait at the boat launch for them to come and pick him up, including Javon. I mean, Javon left his phone on our boat.
Yeah, Javon is one of the guys in the friend group.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Javon's a friend of mine, friend of ours. Like, not as tight as Nolan. Javon's in the class under me in school, and he's a friend of mine. But just like a lot of our other friends, Javon's our friend. He left the phone on the boat because we're trustworthy people. We're not going to steal something. We're not going to delete pictures off of someone's phone. We're not going to delete text messages. We're not going to get on anyone's phone because we have no reason to. But Javon left his phone. And we gave Javon his phone back along with everybody else who left their phone on the boat. So
yeah, we'll get to that because I think I have the timeline in my mind. So you guys, the boat is taking in water. You had already left, Morgan, right? You had already left on the boat. So there's 3 boats. You had already left about 5 minutes before this situation happened. The last 2 boats was Bart's boat and Wyatt's boat, and those are the 2 boats that left out because Bart was kind of towing Wyatt's boat out. So you guys are on the boat. What was the conversation with Nolan? Because Nolan obviously had come in on Wyatt's boat. You guys are all getting ready to leave. So what was the communication like with Nolan?
So actually, Wyatt was saying, told Nolan, because Nolan's with this girl at this point. They're together. Wyatt looked at Nolan. He was like, dude, come on. Boat's taking on water. We got to go, like right now. And Nolan didn't want to go. He said he wanted to stay with the girl. And Wyatt started yelling at me. He's like, Nolan, get on the boat now. And Nolan was like, no. And then finally, Wyatt's like, Nolan, get on the effing boat right now.
So why is he cursing at Nolan? Is it because Nolan is intoxicated? I think Nolan was on the boat because how is he found 48 hours later when they initially said that he was on the island? It doesn't take 2 days to find somebody that's on the island. So they either dumped his body in the water and they found him, or he was on the boat and then he was washed on shore. But process of elimination, we cannot say he was on the island. It cannot take 48 hours to find somebody. Like, how stupid is it? But they are still in the first autopsy, bro. Like, who gave them permission to do that, bro? I try to find a video of them explaining the spiritual warfare of Mr. Nolan Wells, of it being a ceremony and a sacrifice, because this shit don't make sense that we have to assume and speculate that it is a sacrifice because nobody has the answers. Because leave it up to Mississippi, they want to hide stuff, they want to seal it, and it will not be released until there is a grand jury. So how is it going to be released if there's never a grand jury? And I don't think there will be a grand jury. Protecting the boys. Crazy work.
We are leaving right now. And Nolan said he had another ride back, and we had no more time to waste. We got to get the boat out of there before it goes under.
And it was that, and when Nolan said that, like, was there an issue that you believe that Nolan would be able to get back, or were you concerned? Like,
so what I can say is, I've been out countless times on one boat to Horn Island and came back on another. I've done it before where I went out on one boat and my friends left, and I just know so many people out there I didn't even think about, do I have a ride already?
So I forgot Buddy's name that's talking. He is saying that he initially can go on the island and he can hitchhike, he can hitchhike a ride separate from the boat that he initially got on the island with, saying that Nolan Wells, they're trying to push the narrative that he wasn't on the boat. But if he was on the island, why did it take so long to find him? That's cap. So they're saying everything to take away the possibility that he was on the boat or at sea. Talking about, oh, when I go to the island, I always find rides. There's so many people that ride by. It's Southern hospitality. You know, they see me on the island and I put my thumb up and they just put me on the boat and I just go back to where I need to be. So just because you say it doesn't mean that it's true or it's law. You know, it sounds good. But what I'm just trying to put two and two together, because we have to read between the lines. Why are these boys confessing so much? Because one episode, one too much. Multiple episodes? These boys gave more episodes than actually Netflix series.
The right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of these rights I have explained to you?
You have the right to remain silent. So why are these boys talking so much on a podcast?
Up. I just know so many people out there that I'm like, okay, there's 100% sure I can find a ride back, and which I have before, you know? And it's one of those things where it's at Horn Island, you don't even have to know somebody to ask for a ride back in. They're going to bring you in. You know, it's not like, oh, are they going to bring me in or are they not? Should I ask? No, if you ask anybody out there, 100%, they'll bring you back
Southern
in.
hospitality.
Yeah,
Here in South Mississippi.
I mean, we had somebody...
The boating community is so, like, tight-knit. Like, it doesn't matter like who you are. If someone sees you struggling on the island, no matter the case, they will come and help you. They will do anything in their power to
help you and bring you back to the mainland.
I put another example out there. We know another kid who was pretty intoxicated out there, and he couldn't find his boat. And he asked somebody random that he didn't even know if he could catch a ride back with them. And they were like, yeah, got him on the boat, called his parents, told them the situation was going on, and then took him back on inshore.
And that happened this time, or is
4th of July.
This
4th of July.
This current 4th.
So you guys you leave. Nolan is there. I'm based on what you're telling me, I'm perceiving that you guys are accepting that Nolan's going to get a ride back somewhere else. Y'all taking on water. Explain to the audience, what is this sinking boat thing like? Because I think that people are in good faith, the ones who are acting in good faith, are genuinely curious of like, are you sinking? Do you think you're gonna sink? Because you hear Wyatt on the phone and he's like, we're sinking, we're going down. And obviously you never went down. So can you explain what he was saying?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd
Hello?
you say? Hey,
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
it's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
All right, well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either Jerry Atkerson. I think it's Jerry Atkerson. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like guaranteed.
There a little bit of water. Was he just panicking more than normal, or like what was that? And I want you to explain too, like what happened to the boat? How did you recover the boat? And how did you get back to the mainland?
So I'm gonna go ahead and first off explain a boat. So a bilge pump is in the bilge. The bilge is underneath the deck where you stand in the very bottom of the boat. And there's a space in there where you have all your electronics, your batteries, everything that controls everything throughout the whole boat. So the first thing that fills up on a boat when it starts to sink is the bilge. And it goes in the bilge and it starts filling up. Well, then the bilge pump kicks on, senses the water automatically, and starts pumping it out. In this situation, the bilge pump had a malfunction, it didn't kick on, and it got all the way to the very top of the bilge, which is the floor level. And then we started to see the boat actually sag down in the water, and we're like, okay, what's going on? So there's a cap in the back of the boat that you can unscrew and look inside the bilge. When we unscrewed it, there's so much water in the boat, it started overflowing onto the deck. And so at this point, we're like, okay, this boat's going down. It's going down quick. We don't know where the water's coming in from. We don't know what's going on, and we just go into full-on like panic mode, get this thing out of here now. So we hook up the boats.
No, call Cito.
Okay.
Let's get to that part. Because you called Cito first?
No,
or you had the boats hooked up first?
We had the boats hooked up first.
Yeah. Okay.
So we hook up the boats and we start towing them out. And he's on the phone with Cito. Because, hold on, let me go back a second. The electronics completely glitched out. Nothing is working on the boat. There's so much water in there, nothing is working.
The batteries are also
The batteries are completely underwater. Like yeah, everything's fried basically. So we have it connected, kind of towing them out, and he's on the phone with Cito, and he's trying to get them on the phone. And as he stated in the moment, he's like, Cito's just asking all these dumb questions. I can't like figure out what's going on. And so finally hangs up, and after the trim to the motor started to work again. So they manually trim it down by the.
They made that up. How is Cito asking dumb questions when you're the one that made the call asking for help? You got distracted when somebody in the background said to shut the F up.
How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd
Hello?
you say? Hey.
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
The man got frustrated. He got frustrated when he's the one that initially called for help. Then he wants to go on an interview talking about he was getting flustered when he called for help. Stop the cap.
On the motor, trimmed it down, and some electronics started to come back on, and they got the boat to crank over. And they're
What I think is that he did call for help, but why did you call for help if he was receiving help initially to tow your boat out the water? So you was getting help, you call help. She says you want help from the Coast Guard, you say no. So why did you call in the first place?
Like, all right, untie us, because if you can get a boat on plane, the suction of the water going underneath it will actually pull all the water out of the bilge if you have the plug out. So like, say you have the plug out and it's sitting, the boat will sink. If you have the plug out and you're running, all the water will rush out the back of the boat.
When you say on plane, you mean like it has to be going fast enough to be
Smoking on smoking on something. Front lawn says he called grandpa to see what he was going to do. So he called his grandpa prior to him calling Cito. So what was the point of calling Cito if his grandpa was already going to handle the situation?
up
out
on
of
top
the water.
of the water?
Yep.
Or
So
something like
on
that?
plane is you're up, you're running, you're out of the water. Basically, there's
Your bows on plane.
yeah. So you're up out of the
Yeah,
water
I guess.
running.
Yep.
So
Where are you guys at when this happens? As far as from Horn Island to the mainland, where are you guys at in between there?
so we're probably a mile and a half off of Horn. I'd say a mile off
Well,
Horn.
from the start where the Cito call was, we were probably about a quarter mile
Yeah.
off the island. Like you could see, it's visible in the picture that you posted that Wyatt is on the Cito call, and it's that video of the boat panning, of the video of the boat getting panned, and you'd see everybody in the boat. If you look in the background, the island's right there. So I mean, going back to like what you said earlier, if we killed somebody or hurt somebody, the whole island is literally not even a quarter of a mile away to sea, with hundreds of boats lined up on the island. So that's really all I had to say about that.
Yeah. So we
were about a quarter mile out.
So we were about a quarter mile out, whatever. So they pull the plug out the back of the boat. They have the motor running and everything like that, and they go to take off. So the boat's having trouble trying to get up, and it's slowly coming up because the weight of the water. Finally, it planes off, and the water gets sucked out the back, and they're full speed running. And then after that, I didn't see them anymore. I think you were on the boat. You can start from there.
Yeah, so after we planed off, Wyatt kept the boat pinned the whole way in. We ran into the mouth of Fort Bayou, where we came from originally, and we turned into Fort Bayou, went in the channel, ran probably 500, 600 yards into Fort Bayou. Wyatt had jumped out of the boat, put the plug back in the boat so access water. So water didn't keep pushing and filling the boat up. So then we turned around, and Wyatt brought the boat to the dock, and that's when I had gotten out and got back in the car. And I didn't even drive. A buddy of mine drove me, and we went back to Jax's house.
Jackson's house. Okay, so I just want to make this very clear and abundantly clear for the audience. Are you saying that the video that I posted, which is like a 3-second loop, now I have a lot more of the video, but
Right.
to not expose people that have nothing to do with this,
Right.
I only posted the smaller part, the 3-second part. Are you saying during that time, a portion of that, Wyatt was on the phone with Cito, so a portion of that is the Cito call, and that Nolan is not on that boat?
Correct.
And that video that's out there is a representation of who was on the boat during that Cito call.
Correct.
So I want to jump back to something real quick, because I was on the island and the reception was bad. I left my phone on the boat when I got out and went in the water. But people are saying online that how can you make a
Why did he say that? Brandon Tatum, bro. See, this is why people are calling you okay, we're gonna stay respectful. This is why people are saying that you're pandering to a certain ethnic group. Interview the boys, leave your commentary alone talking about, oh, I even left my phone to the side. Why did you say that, bro? So you can align with the boys' story? Stop the cap, Brandon Tatum.
Cito call if the reception is so bad on the island? Because before you said the reception wasn't really good enough to even send a picture message to somebody else. So how is this call being made if the reception is not as good?
I mean, if you listen to the call back,
So we we already debunked that you can call 911 regardless if you have service or not.
Listen to the call back. I mean, there's areas in the call where it's splotchy. It's not direct. Like, it's not like you're sitting from me to you talking to the person on the phone. I mean, you're obviously out on the water. I mean, you can hear it in the CTO call.
And so when it comes to the reception, because I didn't look at my phone one time on the way out to Horn Island. I mean, it was a beautiful ride.
Of course, because you're not.
See, this is what I'm talking about. So come on, Brandon Tatum. First, he talking about, oh, I didn't even bring my phone, trying to align his story with the boys. That's one thing. Now he follows up with, oh, I didn't even touch my phone because the island is so beautiful. Brandon Tatum. We see what you doing, my guy. Talking about he didn't even bring his phone. The island is so beautiful. Why are you trying to align your stories with the boys? Yo, this interview is super red flag. And I'm surprised they're just so open and talk about what's going on when there's an ongoing investigation, because we don't know what happened to Nolan Wells. The case is still ongoing. It's not case closed.
Not thinking about.
That's what they wanted to be. They wanted to be case closed, especially if it was Mississippi.
Yeah, I'm looking at how beautiful this water is. We were having fun on the boat. We were playing music.
So Nolan Wells is not alive, and you looking at how beautiful the water is, and the dandelions and the hummingbirds and the bumblebees.
A freaky frog.
Some of Nolan's favorite songs.
Yeah.
So I wasn't thinking about my phone. So I wasn't checking reception. Now, is the reception recover at some point between Horn and the mainland? Or is it terrible reception while you're over the water until you get to the mainland?
Nah,
I mean, there's
As soon
really
as you get off the island coming in shore,
yeah,
you
but there's
start
really
picking up
like
reception
no
again.
definite way to tell where the reception comes in, because I mean it's all satellite. I mean,
Yeah.
It's different I've gotten service 80 miles offshore, like off of a satellite coming to a oil rig.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I connected to it from the rig. But like,
It just depends.
I could go to Horn Island and not have any service. I could go there and have service. I mean, I think
It's
it's
really hit or
truly
miss.
different, like every time.
So is it fair to say the service on Horn Island is super spotty?
Yes. Yeah.
And it was just almost by chance, in part, that the call was successful to call CTO. Okay.
Partly, yeah.
And I want to get to that picture, because I think a lot of people are confused about the picture. You guys cleared this up for me last time I came, but I want the world to kind of hear this, because I don't think I addressed it last time me and you, Warren, was on the interview. People are saying, and this is how the picture went viral, that the people pictured in the photo were the ones that went on the boat with Nolan and came back. Can you explain that? Because I don't think everybody that was in that picture even went to Horn Island on the same boat as Nolan.
So I can say whenever we all got out there,
Hold on. Before you get there, because I think this will address another issue that people have of saying, well, why are they taking pictures if the reception is bad? Can you point out where this picture took place? What is going on with this infamous picture now?
Yep. So whenever we got there, like I said, I wasn't even on the same boat as Nolan. We pull our boat in. Nolan, their boat pulls in, whatever. I get out in the water. I walk over to Nolan's boat, and I'm talking to Nolan for a little bit, whatever. And I put my phone up on the dash. Nolan puts his up there. As Nolan's putting his phone on the dash, he sees an actual little camera that one of the girls that came on the boat brought. And his first words was, he picks up the camera and he goes, "We gotta take a picture." Just like that. And in my mind, I'm like, heck yeah, like let's take this picture. So that's where you got me and Nolan and one picture. And then as we're taking that picture, Morgan and another buddy of ours come up and they're like, all right, like let's take a picture all together of us on the front of the boat. We're like, all right, yeah, let's do that. So we got on the front of the boat, and that's where that picture is taken.
So that was it taken from a phone or
No, like an actual little camera.
Camera,
Okay.
like
And was
the
it
lens
taken?
comes
Was it
out.
taken from where you docked at, or was it taken out there at Horn Island?
It was taken at Horn Island.
Okay. So, but wasn't on the phone.
No.
Hey, I want to clear this up too, because I'm not aware of this. You guys may obviously have more information. Were people uploading? I know we talked about the service issue, but were people uploading onto social media?
I mean, you could.
Not
You just
really,
think-
though.
You could be.
Realistically, you could.
You could if you want to sit there,
could.
if you're motivated enough to do it. Yeah, like I made a phone call to my mom and I had to call her like 8 times before she picked up because either her service was bad, she was on the back side of the aisle on the south side, or my service was bad, and it was just hard to get through. But like if I went and posted a video on Snapchat, like honestly, I don't think it would like either post or send to somebody. I think, I sent my buddy where we were at, a buddy of mine. I was like, hey, come meet us. And I sent him a video and he was like, dude, I couldn't get a hold of you all day. And like that explains the point. Like I sent him a video where we were at and it never sent until I got inshore because I had no service.
Would it shock you, because Christine Wells, Nolan's mother, is online, she was very shocked that she said Nolan didn't have any Snapchats or something. I'm assuming that whole day. Is that shocking to you if he did or did not have photos or videos or stuff uploaded to social?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Because
I mean,
like we said, we've been out there many times before, and nobody's on their phone out there. First off, and then second off, if you want to take Snapchats and stuff like that, you can, but you're just really gonna have to save them to your camera roll and upload them back whenever you get insured. Because when you go to send it, it's just gonna have an error.
And most guys, when they're out on the island all day, they're really not thinking about posting something.
This is not how I wanted the world to meet my son, but here we are. So, as you know, I'm Christine Wells Wansley. I am Nolan Wells's mom. And Nolan is the kindest soul. He never met a stranger. He loved everybody. He didn't care if you were black, white, purple, green, looked like a marshmallow. Like, he just wanted everyone to be in peace with one another. He loved life, and God gave him this big heart, which always scared us. Me and his dad had conversations with him all the time, not just about the importance of understanding our history as Black people, but also the importance of how you have to move in certain spaces. And it's not us being, feeding into racism or the stereotypes that comes with that. Unfortunately, that is just a matter of fact. There have been many cases, many instances that shows that it's unfortunately a pattern that he did not like. He did not like that there was so much division, and I think that's why God gave him us. He was really a peacemaker. He wanted, like I said, everyone to be included. He never wanted to leave anyone out. He just, even at a young age, I don't know, he was, how old was he? 18. No, not 18. When he was a baby, he did little dance. So his father and I were having a moment, and as couples do, and even in that moment, he runs in the room with his diaper on, of course, and he starts dancing, because it was like he could feel the tension. He could feel that something wasn't right. So he was just a special kid.
Snapchat story.
So the phone was taken on like a camera that's not a phone. Yeah. Now, how did that get to you guys, and how did that ended up getting to the internet?
So whenever we first realized that Nolan I'm not gonna say he didn't. When we first realized we don't know where Nolan's at, the first thing we were trying to figure out, or his mom was, what was he wearing? And so we were trying to remember what color his shorts were. We couldn't quite figure that out.
I said black.
Yeah, I think we said black.
I really did. He was wearing navy blue shorts.
Yeah, there was like dark blue shorts.
Dark, and I just said black because I was trying to piece everything together and help out.
And so at this point, we're freaking out. We don't know where our friend's at. And the girl that took the picture, she was like, okay, well, I just took this picture of today. This is what color swim trunks he was wearing. And his mom asked for that to post on Facebook to say, if you've seen him, whatever, this is what he was wearing. And so that's what we sent to her. or that's what she sent her, because we were just trying to help. You know, we weren't trying to cover up anything. We wanted to know where our friend was just as bad as everybody else does. I mean, that was our boy. We want to know worse than everybody else does. And so that's how that picture came about.
And I want to get to the phone situation of Miss Christine, or Miss Wells said online, and I've seen it on the news and everything, as if she had to come and hunt you down to get this phone. Now I know, Warren, you weren't at the house, and so you weren't there when they came to get the phone and all
Right.
that. So how did this happen? Because last time we talked, you said you told, and I will call her Miss Christine, you told Christine that you had Nolan's phone. Like, can you explain that to me? Because I'm confused. I don't know what's what. Did you tell her you had the phone? And when did you tell her you had the phone, if you did?
Okay, so first we'll start off with, what I have to say, and then Jax, but and if Morgan has something to say, but I want to get this straight. One of the first things I told Miss Christine Wells in the first phone call that ever occurred with anything to do with Nolan Wells being gone, because I was the first person to call Miss Christine about anything. First phone call and anything to do with Nolan Wells was me making a phone call to Christine Wells. And one of the first things I said to her, with multiple witnesses here, pull up the phone call if you want. She said, oh, well, Nolan's location is with y'all at, where the house we were at. And I was like, well, no, he left his phone with us. I told her this. She knew for a fact that we had his phone. And she knew that I told her, yeah, he left it on the boat with us. Like, a bunch of people did. And so I want to make that very clear that I told Miss Christine there was no reason to hide anything. There was no issue regarding the cell phone. She could have came and picked it up, but instead she sent one of her friends to come pick it up, and that's where these things start to get twisted. But no, there was never an issue with the phone. I told Miss Christine, one of the first things I told her was, we have Nolan's phone, and that's where that ends. There was no issues with the phone or the keys, so I want to make that clear.
So was the keys on the boat with the phone?
No. The
Okay.
keys were
They're at my house.
at Jax's house, because we all stayed there the night before. I'm sure if I would have left my truck at Jax's house, I would have left my keys there too, because
It's just one more thing to think about on the boat.
if I don't have my car or my truck, then why would I bring my keys on the boat, So, I mean, there's just no point of bringing it, because if I lose them, then just more stuff to bring that I don't
Yeah.
very accept.
So I want you guys to explain this phone thing. I think Warren already addressed the fact that he told Christine that he had the phone in his possession. So, the whole Life 360 thing is not adding up as far as what you're saying to me compared to what they're saying. Now, how did whoever came and get the phone, how did they get in touch with you guys, and how did they get the phone back?
So I got a call from a kid we went to high school with. He called me just asking me questions. He saw people posting on Snapchat, like the picture that was circulating. And he called and he was asking questions. He was like, where's Nolan? When's the last time y'all seen him? And then he was like, so where are y'all at? And I told him, I said, we're at Jax's house. And then Warren got on the phone, and I don't know.
So they come to my house, right? And they kind of
Hold on, before we get there. Was it confrontational, or was it just
most
trying to
definitely.
find?
Most
It was
definitely.
confrontational
Yeah,
already.
wouldn't y'all agree? Yeah,
He was like-
110%.
he was very
confrontational.
And when did this
Hostile,
happen? Was
yeah, he
this
was really
on the night of the
hostile.
4th or the
Yes,
next
this
day?
was the night
of
when
the
they.
4th.
This was before they came and got the phone.
So this is the night of the 4th, yes.
So you had already spoke to Christine,
Correct.
and then you get a call that was hostile.
Yeah, and then Morgan handed the phone over to me. I was like, oh, let me talk to him, because I knew the guy. And I was just like, hey, he was like, where y'all at? I was like, we're at Jackson's house. It's like calm down. And then he hung up on me, and then
Okay, so they pull up to my house, and at this point, I'm kind of freaking out. We're all trying to put our heads together on where Nolan is, and I kind of isolate myself in my room, just kind of get in a ball and just lose it, kind of basically for a few hours. And they just walk into my house, and I hear all this commotion going on in my living room, and I'm just like, what in the world is going on? So I walk out there. There's probably 10, 15 people in my house I don't even know. And they're all up in our faces, going crazy, asking where Nolan is, and we don't know. And finally they get into Wyatt's face, and they're like, Where's your boat? Where's the boat at?
Demanding his
Dem-
address.
demanding his address and stuff like that. And he finally ends up giving it to him. And then at that, let me go ahead and state that while they're there, we give them the phone. They have the phone at this point. Then they get the address to his house. Then they go to his house. And they're searching all over his boat, what I heard and stuff like that. Well, anyways, I don't really know much about that, but they come back to my house at around 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's his dad this time. And his dad's being really respectable, really, really nice to me and stuff like that, as long as another friend of theirs, and he's asking me, like, where are the keys at? I don't even know where Nolan's keys are at in my house. You know how hard it is to find a set of keys in a house, and you don't even know where to start?
Oh, it's not that hard to find some keys.
It's pretty hard. So I start scrambling around my house looking. There's stuff everywhere. Keep in mind, all these people stayed the night at my house before.
There's a lot of talking. All this, but no answers of what happened to Nolan Wells. Over 1K people on that island, but nobody saw Mr. Nolan. Leave in process of elimination that he was out at sea, that he was on a boat. Because if there's over 1K people, how can nobody see the ninja on the island? That's crazy work.
I'm looking through everything. I can't find the keys. I run back to his father, or stepfather, and I was like, I don't know where the keys are. And the guy saying,
Oh, no, no, no. Hell no, bro. Yeah, these boys are on some different type of timing. First, Tristan wants to throw a low blow talking about Nolan Wells is not a black person. He's half Asian. So why is the black community supporting Nolan Wells? That was a super low blow. Then in this interview, another friend talking about Nolan Wells' father. Oh, I mean stepfather. Is that necessary? Is that necessary for these boys to be thinking about Nolan Wells' father? Oh, I mean stepfather. I mean, I guess. But if this was my best friend, I would be so choked up, ladies and gentlemen. But they're just willy nilly just going off out the choppers. Oh, it's not that easy to find keys. Oh, I found the keys on top of the Xbox. What? Yeah, so this is not their best. This is not his best friends. This was his acquaintance, but apparently, according to his best friends, they was always scooping up Nolan. He didn't even have to drive. He was always shotgunning. So, parents out there, have a conversation with your adolescent to not trust no man because the heart is deceitful. We need to have that conversation with the offspring, putting trust in the next person as if the next person is going to have the best interest of you. And it shouldn't have to be, God forbid, something dramatic to happen for us to learn our lesson. Why can't we see so many different altercations, so many different situations, but still we're putting trust in the next person? Crazy work.
next to him's texting somebody. I guess I was at my house, and he said that they're on the Xbox. So I run in, I see him on the Xbox, grab him off the Xbox, and I go and hand it to him. It's plain and simple. Didn't even take 30 seconds.
No trouble.
No trouble at all. So
this narrative that they're pushing that there was any argument over the phone or the keys is completely false. Like, let's get that clear.
yeah.
Okay.
So they just kind of hang around my house, taking pictures of all the cars' license plate in the driveway, stuff like that. And so
When you say they, how many people are here this time?
like 15.
15 people that you don't know?
They had 4 or 5 vehicles.
I mean, I knew some of
Full
them I
of
went to high
people.
school with, and then some of them I just didn't know.
Now, walk me through this. How do you think it got to this?
So the interview about about Nolan Wells, hosted by Brandon Tatum, turned to an episode of Gossip Girl XOXO. So these are the alleged best friends of Nolan. Once again, they should be very sympathetic. and speak kind words of Nolan. Not talking about Nolan Wells stepdad, this that. Talking about the mom of Nolan doesn't know what she's talking about. Like they throwing shade and they're being disrespectful to clear their name. But let's take away the emotions to talk about the facts, because it's extremely effed up of the behavior they're displaying on this podcast. But let's talk about the facts. The facts is these boys do not have to confess on a podcast. This is not a courtroom. This is an ongoing investigation, and they're treating this like it's child's play. Because why? Because their parents are government officials. That's why they feel so comfortable.
This point so fast. That's one thing that I'm curious about. Like you
I don't
got
know.
you
Jumping to conclusion.
I guess so. I mean,
That's plain and simple.
They went and searched Wyatt's boat.
Yeah, they went and searched White's boat.
Like
we
we
were
were
hiding
like
them in there or
hiding
something.
Nolan and his.
As a parent, I'm searching everything. I'm searching underneath the sewer. I'm leaving no stone unturned. I'm looking in the trees, the bushes. I'm going in the ocean. I'm going to the bottom of that freaking sea to find my offspring. I'm looking everywhere. I'm not going to count nothing out. So they throwing shade at the parents for looking at the boat when their son is missing, as they should. Parents actually, some parents do, not all, but some parents actually do give a F about their offspring. So now their son is missing and you tripping about them looking at the boat when you was seen and you was with their son. If you was really showing the best interest of Nolan, you'd be more than willing to cooperate with the family. But you want to go on a podcast throwing shade at the family, talking about, oh man, they was looking all up in my boat. They bombarded my house, talking about where the keys at.
His boat or something. Like what is wrong with
Yeah,
him? Like
100%.
We called law enforcement. I was with Wyatt at the time after we left Jackson's house that night. I was with Wyatt, and one person we were with saw that their location was actually headed towards Wyatt's house. And so Wyatt got on the phone with 911 and was like, hey, these people are on the way to my house or already at my house. My mom and my dad are there alone, and they know nothing about this. But Wyatt's mom actually, when they were looking at the boat, they were actually walking from the boat, and she came out and started talking to them at that point.
But
did the police get involved in some degree here? Or-
yes, that's what I'm about to get into. So whenever they were at my house hanging out, just I guess hanging out in my front yard, finally they wouldn't leave, and one of the people there came up and started banging on the door again for whatever reason, I don't know. My brother actually had to call the cops, and I think they came around 2 o'clock in the morning and removed them from our property. And after that, we really haven't spoken to them since. But yeah, we had to call the cops and make them leave.
The cops came, you told them to leave, and then is there anything else that you addressed with the cops while they were there?
Yeah, so the cops were asking me why these people are at my house in the first place, and I told them straight up, we don't know where our friend is at. I don't know where my best friend's at. These people don't know where their friend's at. We're trying to figure it out, and they're basically assuming that we did something to our friend, which we didn't. And he said, okay, just taking notes, and then remove them from there.
Do you think that this had anything to do with race at this point? Meaning that they approached you because of race, or they approached you because you were the last people with Nolan?
So at this point, at this point, they just want answers. I don't think this was about race at this point. They're mad and furious, and they don't know what's going on.
But I also want to get this straight. Like, I know some of these people, and these people are like good people.
Yeah.
And I went to high school with these guys. Like, they know me, and I know them, and they know my friends, and they know them. This wasn't about race. They just knew for a fact that Nolan went on the boat with us. And they were worked up, and that's okay. And they were mad, but that wasn't handling things. That wasn't trying to help. You getting mad isn't helping anything. But instead of solving the problem and trying to figure out, hey, where is Nolan? They were just getting pissed off and not handling things the right way. And I mean, that's what happened.
You guys said you ended up going and looking for Nolan the next morning, but you said you were thinking about doing it that night.
Yes.
And why didn't you do it that night?
So we already called the Coast Guard at this point. We didn't have access to a boat that was already in the water ready to go, other than one that I'm just not allowed to use at all. And I was still this close to taking it out. I mean, I was right there.
So you guys go the next morning, you look for Nolan. Can you explain how did that happen? Who was looking for Nolan? Who was on the boat? Was it multiple boats? Was
Multiple
it one
boats.
boat? Okay, can you explain that? Who was out of this group? Who was on what boat, or who was on a boat or not, going out and looking for Nolan?
So me, Wyatt, and Trayson got in the boat. We got in the Palm Beach that morning, the morning after, and we rode out to the islands, and we were met by a DMR. There was 7 DMR boats already out there, DMR and park rangers. We talked to them, we gave them all of our information. They personally asked if any of us were on the boat with him that day. We told them yes. They just said, all right, well, I mean, we got the area scoped out. And then after that, we just went up to the beach. I think we met up with y'all in the water.
I took my boat out with Jax and a couple friends of mine, and then my mom and my stepdad. And
they were out there too with you?
Correct. And I just met Morgan and Wyatt and Trayson and his girlfriend out there. And we actually, when I rolled up, I parked up next to Morgan and everybody who was with him, and I was like, well, y'all can run around, or we all planned this out. Morgan was gonna run around the south side while we covered the north side, and we were just gonna try to cover as much ground as possible. But I mean, there were so many DMR boats and helicopters and drones and everything else out there. I don't really know what an 18 and a 25-foot bay boat is really gonna do. So I mean, we sat out there. We went for a couple hours and we looked around and we searched, but we also don't fit the requirement that DMR has, and the tools that DMR and United Cajun Navy and all these departments have to look for somebody. We didn't put that much of a help out, but yes, of course, we went out there and looked for our friend. That's not a question.
Who else in the friend group was out there? Did you see Nolan's family? Did you see some of the other kids that showed up at your house? You see anybody else out there?
We did see
a couple other.
We met up with a coach that was previously Nolan's high school coach. We met up with him. They said that they had previously already been on the island. They walked a good bit down the island both ways, and they were just driving around the island like we were doing. And we eventually got off the island. We got on this rip current. It was going west out towards Ship Island and then back towards Biloxi. And we drove that for a couple miles. People were also looking on that too. There was multiple boats out there not associated with DMR with binoculars. There was people fishing the rip, and we asked them, they rode it all the way from Ocean Springs all the way out to Horn Island, and we were like, did you see anything, blah, blah, blah. Because, I mean, if a person is floating in the water, treading water, they are going to be most likely in the rip. And that all comes into play with the washing machine. I mean, you got
Horn Island. The washing machine for me.
Horn Island and Ship Island, I mean, they come like this, and then there's no island right here, so it just tons of water flows through, the tide goes out. I mean, sometimes it gets pretty gnarly in there, and it creates this big old pool, basically. Yeah. And I mean, if someone was floating, treading water out in the water, that's where they would be. They could be hung up. They could grab onto a log and float with a piece of driftwood or something, or they could find a channel marker or buoy and grab onto that. So I mean, there was just main keys that you search for, when you're trying to search for a missing person that has to do with water. And I mean, it's either the island, the buoys, or the rip. And then after that, there's not really anything else you can do. Seriously.
And when did you guys communicate with law enforcement? Because the internet, I think, has this false information that you guys never contacted authorities, and that Warren actually talked to me, or you guys talked to me first.
Tom, we have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd you
Hello?
say? Hey.
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
So when did you guys actually talk to law enforcement and give your statements to them?
So as soon as we got off the water from searching for Nolan,
Which is on the day, the 5th?
yeah, the 5th. As soon as we got off the water, I got a phone call. And I believe he got a phone call too.
Yeah, I
and
got a phone call while we were out there.
You got
I got
a
a
phone call
call
too
as well.
So basically what it was saying was, hey, take a few questions over the phone, answer the questions, and then they had a date for us to come in for actual questioning.
Okay.
And mine was the 6th. There was like the next day or something like that, you know. I think theirs was too.
I believe mine was the 7th, I would like to say, but not for sure. But
Mine was around
regardless, like we all cooperated fully. It's not like we had something.
Yeah,
like
full
we were trying to
cooperation from the start, really.
100%.
And how deep did they go in this interview with you guys?
They asked.
All the way. I mean, they
All
asked.
I
How long was the interview? Like, was it
an
long,
hour,
lengthy
an
interview?
Hour and a
Yeah.
half. I dotted every I, crossed every T.
Yeah.
I told my friends, like, listen, go in there and like say every detail of like even what you like ate for breakfast that morning. It doesn't matter, everything you have, because like anything could help. You literally never know, and like it's what we all did. Like,
Yeah.
We all cooperated. We all wanted to help. We all did everything that we could to help. Regarding this situation, it's not like we just like.
I could say
blindsided this.
I could
like,
say personally, I started my story from the night before.
Yeah, I started
Whenever I got off work on Friday.
I started my story from last 5th of July. Like, she was like, all right, take me back to day one. And I was like, all right, I mean, we've been talking about this since the 5th of July last year. Like what we're going to do, like how we're going to make this better, how are we going to make this funner. Like,
As far as the investigation is concerned, did you guys give your phones over to investigators?
Yes, we gave our phones over free willingly. It was our choice just to give our phones over, let them look through them, whatever they wanted to do, and got them back.
Because we have nothing to hide. We wanted to be fully transparent with, you know, the sheriff's department, everybody else including the FBI, and you know anything to do with justice. We wanted to help out, and that's what we did. We gave our phones up, and like Jack stated, we literally have nothing to hide. So.
Yeah.
And everybody gave their phones up?
Correct.
Yep.
To be forensically evaluated by the FBI?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so while on the topic of phones, did you guys have any access to Nolan's phone?
So with the whole phone, see, Mr. Brandon Tatum, bro, you're pandering to these boys. He's acting like you can unlock a phone only by a passcode, knowing that it's 2026. When did face recognition come out? It's been out for a while, ladies and gentlemen. Nolan Wells essentially could have been passed out, and he could have been laying on the floor or wherever, and they could have simply used the phone to. They could have brought his face close to his. Excuse me. They could have brought the phone close to his face, unlocked the phone. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened, but Mr. Brandon Tatum's alluding to only unlocking a phone is knowing the password. There, Mr. Warren wants to proceed talking about, oh yeah, man, nobody knows my password. None of my friends do. Stop the cap, man. As if there's not face recognition. Once again, not saying that happened, but they talking like the only way to unlock a phone is having a passcode. That's some crazy work.
Did you delete anything out of Nolan's phone? What's your thoughts on Miss Christine saying things may have been deleted?
My thought is that's a blatant lie. I know for a fact that this is the thing. We have no reason to get on Nolan's phone. I have no reason to get on any of my friends' phones. If I had a reason to get on Nolan's phone, I wouldn't be able to get on it because I don't know Nolan's password. I don't know any of my friends' passwords. If I handed Jax my phone right now, he wouldn't be able to get on my phone. I have nothing.
I'd have him permanently locked out of that thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to get on
Guessing
Nolan's
too
phone to
many
delete anything. But in the first place, we have nothing to delete on Nolan's phone. Like, I don't know what this, because Nolan didn't take Snapchats that day. That means things were deleted.
He was just
no.
And racism, no. That was a shock. That was a complete shock from his mom and from his stepdad. Like, that's a shock. That's an utter shock because it's like, First off, I don't know how to word this. Nolan wasn't fully black. Nolan's mixed. Nolan has a little bit of Asian in him. You don't hear that though.